thank you for joining me once again, Singh, on the Sikh channel on Positive Minds. Now, on this program, we like to bring on experts and speak to them about the great work they're doing, inspirational people, and we like to get their advice, their information on how we can better our lives. Okay, so I'd like to thank everyone for the support that they've given me and watching. So thank you very much. And today we'll be discussing the teacher education system in UK. Okay, now the system is working. Okay, it's going forward, but it's got some parts of it that need to be cherished, that need to be worked on. So today I'm going to speak to two amazing individuals who are going to give you some great advice, and they've opened up a great organisation. They just recently opened up a great organisation called Mindful Equity UK. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll let them speak. Okay, so here's my guests. We have today with us Youlande, Harrowell, and we have Aretha, Banton. Thank you guys for coming in today.
Thank you, Jag. Nice to be here. Us.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so Youlande, please tell me a bit about your current position, please.
So currently I'm an assistant head teacher in a London school, and I run the sixth form.
Excellent, brilliant, brilliant. Aretha, about yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm currently associate vice principal, and I lead safeguarding, special educational needs, and inclusion across a school that works from early years all the way up to sixth form.
Superb, excellent, excellent. Okay, so tell me about this great organisation you guys have just opened up. Please tell us more. The people want to hear. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so my
oh, ignore me.
Okay.
We just launched 2 months ago, so we're in our very early stages, and the response has been phenomenal. We're a peer networking service that supports Black and Asian women educators right from the start of their careers all the way through to middle and senior leadership. And our mission really is to support Black and Asian women in education to navigate their career journey, but also to inspire them to stay in the career and move into leadership. We know there's an issue with retention, and there's an issue with people starting their careers and maybe not quite reaching their potential. And we really want to support our members to do that. So we provide two services. One is called In Ed Together, and that's our peer network service, and it's aimed at really providing a platform to share ideas, advice, guidance and support with our members, just so they have that sounding board throughout their careers. And our second strand is our consultancy service, and we work with many organisations to ensure that they become a little bit more diverse and representative in their careers.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. Over the years, what I've realised is, I mean, this country is obviously, I mean, I've written my book Unbreakable, which shows the fact that we were living in the time of the 1970s, where not only did he not get equal opportunities, my father had struggled to get a job, and that was mainly because of the colour of his skin. That was in the 70s, and now we're in the 2020s. So and I'm glad to hear that there's an organisation like yourself, because there are Black and Asian women who are still deprived of certain positions in the teaching field.
Youlande?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
That basically explains why we have decided to create this organisation right now. Black Lives Matter has created a movement that means that a lot of people are listening about the conversation around race. And it's important that we use the word movement and that it's not just a hashtag or a moment in time. And it's allowed a lot more organisations and the education system specifically to open up their doors to talk about race across schools. So when we talk about visible representation and visible diversity, and just to break that down, when you look at schools, particularly in central London as an example, you'll see that we are a very diverse, cosmopolitan city. Yet when you look at leadership, when you look at the teachers that we have in front of our children, it's not as diverse, and it can give the students a skewed understanding of what the world really is like. So it's not just for the benefit of our Black and Asian students, but it benefits white students and in fact all students in their entirety. So why are we working specifically with Black and Asian women? Because the data supports that actually we are underrepresented, not only in deputy and assistant headship, but more importantly in headship. So to give you some examples, the most recent work census for education showed that, and you know, the word Asian is a huge region in the world, and it encapsulates so many different countries and cultures, right? So as an example, there is not a single Bangladeshi head teacher at all. Yet if we use the borough of Tower Hamlets, for example, well, that's what the data shows. So, and that's not good enough. And we're looking at Tower Hamlets as an example of a borough, hugely diverse, massive Bangladeshi community, yet there are no leaders in education who represent the students that they serve. And Asian staff as a collective, less than 2.5% in leadership roles. And so that's just not good enough. But then if you look at classroom teachers, there are quite a lot of us there. So there seems to be that ceiling, that cap. And that's why we've come into existence.
Brilliant, excellent. Thank you for that, Youlande. Because I remember when my father first started working in this country, he had the jobs of cleaning up the machines and doing that and everything. But what he wanted to do was he wanted to become an operator of the machines. But they never gave him the chance to do it. They said, you don't belong with the machines. You know, your job as an ethnic is to obviously clean and everything. And he always said to me, Jag, I've got the potential to learn. I can learn. And I think the same applies here. It doesn't mean that they haven't got the potential, the Black and Asian women. Of course they've got the potential, but there's that barrier that sometimes stops them from going forward. And it's a shame, really, because I'm talking about the 70s here. And as I said before, we're in the 2020s. The next question I'm going to ask you guys is, I know the answer to this one, but I want to hear it from you. Why now? Why is there a need for such an organisation like Mindful Equity UK in the United Kingdom?
It's as I was just saying, representation is necessary because you cannot be what you can't see. And if our students are not seeing that women of colour, Black, Asian, are not in roles of responsibility, roles of power, they are not going to believe within themselves that they are able to do it. And if I think back to my educational experience, I was very fortunate to have a Black woman as the head teacher at my secondary school. And it meant the world to me. It meant that I could do anything, that there was no ceiling, because if she was at the top of her game, of course I could get there one day if I worked hard enough. And it's that we're talking about. And then there's the other side of the entire community, and not just focusing on our Black and Asian community. But if white children can see that Black and Asian women are having people come to them, having to answer to them, having to make those policies, write off on decisions and deal with behaviour. Exactly. That is what those students need to see, because it shows them that actually in our community, in our wider society, that those roles, those people can exist and will exist, and it will encourage them to go for these sorts of roles in the future.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Youlande. Okay, so can you guys please give me 3 examples or scenarios why a teacher in the United Kingdom or assistant teacher or anyone who works in the field of teaching would come to your organisation for support?
So I'll talk about the people that we're trying to attract to our network. So you've got young people who may have just graduated, or even a woman who is thinking about their second career. They might have had a long career in one field and thinking of joining teaching. So before they actually embark on a PGCE or some form of initial teacher training, they could come to us, reach out to us, and we're more than happy to guide them and give them the tools, most importantly, of how they can be their very best self in the teaching field. Another example would be those trainees during their training and also after they qualify. So there's a term we have, or an acronym of newly qualified teacher, which breaks down to NQT. So you might have heard that before. So once you've qualified, you're a newly qualified teacher. And there's even a recently qualified teacher. You're still within your infancy, within your teaching career. And it's at that time that we feel that intervention is needed, that CPD is required, not when you've got that leadership role, because we want to ensure that you're able to make those strides into those roles sooner rather than later.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And I
Okay.
guess the
So,
third scenario there.
no, sorry,
I was
go on,
just going to
sorry.
chip in. No, I was just saying, I guess the third scenario would be for people who are already know there's a problem in their organisation, but actually they're not quite sure what to do about it. So we call these people allies, these people who can champion and support all of our Black and Asian women to reach their potential. And it could be that they're on the senior leadership team themselves. They could just work in the school and notice that there's quite a ceiling to which Black and Asian women are achieving. And it's really about an organisational structure as well. We can't move things forward alone. We can't do inclusion by exclusion. We have to collaborate. And that's where our allies come in. It's about actually who else can sit around the table, promote those discussions, promote those solutions, and actually implement those solutions at the end of the day. So we do see that movement.
Brilliant, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you. Is there any well-being support available from your organisation to people? I mean, is there any well-being support you can offer to anyone? Any teachers?
Yeah, I think the power of networking can't be underestimated. So one of the things that you might have, particularly if you're from Black or Asian background, is actually you might be the first person going into a teaching career. That means you don't have the access to the coaching, the support, the professional networks, because actually it's going to take you hours to Google all of that yourself because nobody's there for you to lean on and get that advice from. And that's what our network is designed to do. It's designed to make sure that actually, if you are in that situation or if you're new to education, you don't have to spend lots and lots of time Googling and searching. You can actually get into that network and lean on those people, get the advice and support from those people, bounce ideas off of those people. And if you're having a really rubbish day, you can contact those people and have a discussion about, actually, this has happened. I'm reflecting on this situation. What can I do next? How can I maintain my well-being? How can I look after myself? How can I get back into the classroom when I've had a really dodgy lesson and the teachers have been really mean and I've had to walk out? It's all about that resilience building, and that's what our network really does. You know, the space and time to reflect on experiences is so important. In schools, we don't get that. We are so busy. We're going from lesson to lesson to lesson, to break duty, to lunch duty, after school duty, and then we're home, and then marking books. So actually having some sort of network that you can just tap into without having to feel isolated or feel like you're on your own, talk to someone that's been through that pathway and can give you really tangible advice. I think that can't be underestimated, and that's really where our wellbeing support comes in. We're not mental health experts, we're not counsellors, but what we can provide is that network of support to help you through that career so that actually you don't feel like you need to drop out, you don't feel like you can't make it, you can make it with support, and that's what we're here to provide.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aretha. I mean, I've got so many questions for you, but our time is really limited. But what I'd like to say there very quickly is, I remember when I was growing up in East London, me and my brother were the only Asian kids in the whole school. We had no Asian teachers, and it was, you know, we had no blacks or Chinese or any other ethnic in our school. We only wished we had one black teacher or one Asian teacher that could give us some support. But I remember when the first black Asian teacher came in school, and it was like, the crap she went through was bad, but I wish if there was some sort of organisation like yourselves at that time, I am 100% sure contacted you. But then again, I'm saying that was the 70s, now 2020, and it's still happening, and that's where I'm so proud to hear that there's a door that these teachers can open and come through and ask for support. So well done, girls. Thank you very much. What's your plans for the future? How do you plan to relay your message, amazing messages to teachers that require support? What's the way forward, guys?
Brilliant. So there's two questions there. So I'll start with the first half about what the plans are for the future. We're very aware that the research at the moment around representation, visible diversity, Black and Asian women in education, leadership, etc., is actually if it is in the UK, it's very London centric. That's the first problem. The second problem is that actually, if there is really robust research, it often is from the States. Aretha told me about some research from Johns Hopkins University talking about it, which it feels like when you read the findings is very much of our experience, but it's not our story, it's not our narrative. And so we're not pushing for another report, because we've had a lot of those. We know that there are problems, but there are some very particular areas that need to be looked into, particularly the experiences of Asian women in leadership, Black women in leadership, as an example. So we are in contact with a number of researchers who are trailblazing in their field in the UK, and we're hoping to create more research which is national as opposed to London centric. In addition to that, we're creating a hub system so that we can ensure that those London solutions aren't going to stop someone who's in Cheshire, for example, looking for that help, or someone in Manchester who's looking for that help, or Bradford. Bradford's experience, the teachers in Bradford's experience, is very different to the experience of London teachers. So that gives you a bit of an idea of where we're moving to. And then in regards to how teachers can get in contact with us, I've got a long list. So, firstly, we're all over social media. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as Mindful Equity UK. And through there, you can find a lot of information about us. But more importantly, go to our website, which was masterfully created by Aretha. And that's www.mindfulequityuk.co.uk. There's information there about events that are upcoming, things that we've done. But more importantly, let's focus on the event. So we're launching our network on the 26th of August, which is a Saturday, starting from 10 a.m, finishing at 11. And tickets are available on Eventbrite, but all of that information can be found on our website.
Superb. Thank you very much for the information. Thank you. Guys, what would your advice be to someone out there, a teacher who's listening right now, Black, Asian, or any ethnic, and thinking to themselves, we'd like to get in contact with them, but we're not sure if we should. We're a little bit shy to come forward, because I've always found out. I mean, I was only doing a conference call the other day when I spoke to some about a black lady, and she said, I'm in school, I get a lot of abuse, but it's the way things are, and I kind of accept it. And I said to her that's one thing you should never ever accept. And she kind of fell backwards. Well, what do you mean you should accept it? It's part of the way things are. I said, no, that's not the way the part of things are. And if someone out there's listening right now who is having a bit of a hard time as a teacher, what would your advice be to them, please?
I think the first bit of advice I'd give is about bravery and being bold. It's about really stepping back and thinking about what's going on in your setting, what's going on in your environment, why are you having that particular experience, who's contributing to that particular experience, and how we can then support them to overcome those barriers. So it's really coming with a plan, and that's where we step in. We kind of help you formulate that plan, if it were. So there might be a lot of emotion involved in that particular situation, but through mentoring and support network, we can kind of look at it from a 360 angle, from the point of view of that person that's been affected, the people around them, and the event itself, so that we've got a solution that's workable. A lot of times solutions that come up aren't workable and they're not sustainable, and that's not what we're about. We're about actually providing a toolkit, so if those situations do come up in future, you've got something to fall back on. You're not taken back by surprise. And you're absolutely right, Jag. If you're going through an experience like that, it's not acceptable, and it's not the way things should be. They might be like that now, but they should never be like that. And that's what we're trying to change in terms of our research and in terms of our practice, is making sure that people don't feel isolated, that they can influence change, and they can have a very different experience as a teacher. I think that's it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So here we have, guys. We've got two amazing women. They're on a mission, okay? A mission. I only wish this had started earlier, okay? But it's happening, and it's happening. It's happening now in our country, and there'll be no excuse for anyone out there, Black, Asian, or any ethnic minority out there, to actually sit back and tolerate these kind of behaviours. Anything that is sort of a discrimination. It's not right. People should no way accept being put second place. And I think every teacher should be marked, despite of their colour of their skin, should be marked for their merits and their hard work and their contribution. Okay, guys, so one more time, can you please tell me how people may contact you? Because I want to get this out there to everyone, please.
So follow us on our website. So that's www.mindfulequityuk.co.uk, and all the information, all of our socials are there.
Thank you very much. So there you go, guys. Okay, Mindful Equity UK. I'd like to thank Youlande, Harrowell, and I'd like to
Thank you,
thank
Jag.
Aretha for joining us today. This is great advice. And listen, guys, I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
having us on. And keep in
Thank
You're
you.
touch.
welcome. Of
Yeah.
course. Oh yeah, because I was just about to say, I like to know this journey because this journey just starting out in 2020. I hope it just goes out there and reaches out to those people who need your help because there are people out there. And what I normally find is that people who need the help the most don't come forward. So here we have it, guys. Okay, come forward, get in contact with these guys. They're there for you, right? And they'll give you all the support you want. Do not, as I always say, do not suffer in silence and do not accept any sort of behaviour which makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay, so thank you, girls, for joining me today.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jag.
Okay, so guys, thank you for joining me on Positive Mind today. And there you go, some great positive news that are happening in this country in 2020. They're making a difference. Can we all make a difference? Of course we can. Okay, so I'd like to thank the guys for coming on today. And until the next time, keep yourself motivated and inspired and keep smiling. Why would you go, sir? Why would you give up?